Going forward now out wide, Mongolian Khan wasn't happy with the lack of speed, so was sent forward by Opie Bosson. Then came Sound Proposition, Prince Mambo, Volkstock and Barrel. He's back third, last the favourite. He's 12 lengths off the leaders. Homeward bound they are now. 350 metres to go. McQueen ranged up for Mongolian Khan. 2 lengths away, Prima. Then Midnight Magic Man looking to run on. Further back is Rockfast. It's Mongolian Khan on the inside. Midnight Magic Man's coming after him, so too is Prima. Still there, McQueen. Here's Volkstock and Barrel arriving down the outside. Great battle here. Going to the line. Mongolian Khan's in front. Mongolian Khan will take it over. Prima's got a huge race. I think Volkstock and Barrel's run third, just ahead of Midnight Magic Man.
The Group 2 Avondale Guineas won by Mongolian Khan for Baker Forsman and jockey Opie Bosson, and it would be fair to say, Butch, that mid-race move of going to the front at about the 1400 was the winning of the race.
Yeah, it was. Look, the best ride in the race won it. They were dawdling along. I think George mentioned when they started playing games in his call, and that's when Opie took the initiative, and that's why you put a rider like Opie Bosson on when you can, because they'll make those decisions. Look, they've run that race 3 seconds slower than what's been the standard for that race for the last 5 years. They've run it a full 5 seconds slower than when Ice Pin won this race back in his 3-year-old year, and it just gave those that were off the speed little or no chance when he's been able to dominate as he did. But he found a really good kick, and look, he's going to be super competitive in the Derby.
Yeah, absolutely. He was aided by great riders, everybody knows. He just summed up the situation beautifully. There were some nice runs in behind him, though, taking nothing away from Mongolian Khan. Prima, it's got to be the best maiden in the country, which is a hell of a tag to have for your horse, really, to be fair. We've been there, done that. Yeah, we've been there, done that this season. So, yeah, but it's got another huge race. Volkstock and Barrel. As far as I'm concerned, he's the one that'll be winning the Derby. His last sectionals must have been amazing. I think 33, just a tick over 33 for his last 600 metres. Some comments about the ride by Matt Cameron, as far as I'm concerned, if I was a part owner of Volkstock and Barrel, which unfortunately I'm not, I'd be happy with that ride.
He's obviously ridden the horse to instruction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Clearly ridden the horse to instruction.
The barrier draw dictated that.
Yeah, I suppose when that's what it was preordained. There's no, you can see that he's just taken him out of the gates and progressively gone back. He's then looked to improve his position, and look, it was a super Derby try. The last 50 metres, some of those strides that he's looked to put in were massive, and we know what a stretch he's got about him. Look, it's going to be, for mine, going to be a very good Derby, because yep, what he did was super, but I think what the winner did was very good as well. And you add Vavasaur to the mix, and she's, you would think, going to be somewhere near the speed. And I'm not sure that she needs it to be a sprint home either. So she might roll. Mongolian Khan looks like he's going to stay well. And I expect Volkstock and Barrel to be a few spots closer. And gee, you've got a race.
I did speak to Gary Cossey, one of the part owners of Volkstock and Barrel, before the race. And he actually rang James McDonald and the night before the race and said, look, we're drawn a little bit, it's a tricky draw at barrier 11. He says, what would you do? He said, I wouldn't go forward. These were James's words. He said, I wouldn't go forward on Volkstock and Barrel simply because the other riders will see him going forward and they will all kick up on the inside of him. And he said, they'll put you out wide. First time over ground, over 2,100 metres for Volkstock and Barrel. He's got a $750,000 Group 1 race 2 weeks away. I'm saying he would be running home strongly. That's the main point that they wanted to do, and that's exactly what that horse did. Mongolian Khan, for his last 2 starts, has had the perfect draw to go forward, take a slot. And Opie, from second or third position, on Saturday he went to the lead, but he's dictated the tempo in both the Waikato Guineas and the Avondale Guineas on Saturday. Sensational rides. I'm picking, like Butch has just mentioned, the Derby will be different with Vavasaur, the filly there that likes to bowl along in front. Giant Turtle, who led them up in the Waikato Guineas as well. They will make sure, you would think, that the pace will be on in the Derby, and I'm sure, as Butch said too, Volkstock and Barrel, if he draws an alley, will be a little bit handier to them as well.
You mentioned that draw. We did receive some viewer feedback around the fact should have the riding instructions or the likely pattern of the race that unfolded with Volkstock and Barrel going back, should that have been declared prior to the start?
That's an interesting one, isn't it? There's no compulsion to do it, but at times they do. Then I suppose it's a matter of how that information and when it's fed back. Is it any good 20 minutes before the race? Look, possibly if the question had been phrased the right way in an interview pre-race, that the stable representative may have said so. If the senior stable trainer had have been there, Donna had a commitment overseas, maybe she might have mentioned it in an interview, but there's no compulsion to do it. And
from that awkward draw, I think he was always going to go back, wasn't he? I mean, she always has declared on this show a couple of times that he's a better chaser.
Well, it certainly made sense from a Derby perspective to go back, absolutely. It made great sense. And look, I thought it was a ride. Matthew didn't know they were going to go 3 seconds slower than what's the standard of that race. If they had have run that race at what has been around about the standard for the last 5 years, it might have been a different story. So they made a decision to go back. They didn't know that it was going to be a walking race for a large part of it, and the way that he hit the line was fantastic from a Derby point of view.
The other thing too, Matt Cameron has been quoted in the papers as saying when he looked up at the 1400 metres where he finally settled Volkstock and Barrel back in the field, when he looked up and saw Opie Bosson going to the lead, he knew he was in trouble. He knew that Opie would dictate the tempo on Mongolian Khan, and that's exactly what happened. But he's been criticised in some sections of the media from people who said that Matt Cameron, I'm referring to, saying that he didn't show much initiative. He didn't have a plan B. Well, I reckon he went to plan B. When Opie went to the front on Mongolian Khan, he's thinking, do I break this horse's heart? It is first time over ground. Do we find the line in this race, looking towards the Derby, or do we go around them, set him a task and fade over the final 100 metres? I thought it was a judicious ride by Matt Cameron. I'll defend him on this anyway. And I'm not normally one to defend jockeys too, just quietly.
No, I was going to say. All right, let's hear from the jockeys, and we'll start with the winning one, Opie Bosson.
That was a very good run. Look, going towards the Derby, he'll definitely run the trip out, and he relaxed and run right to the line, and I was very impressed with him.
Yeah, I thought it was a real good, honest run. You know, he's really improved even since his last day at Waikato.
On to the Derby from here?
Yeah, well, let's hope so. I'll leave that up to the trainer, but, you know, take one race at a time. But, yeah, look, he's really putting the best foot forward.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. You know, blind man would be happy with that run. And, you know, obviously the plan was to get back, get him to relax. He dropped the bit, even on a apprentice race cantering pace in front of him in his first corner, and he dropped the bit nicely. And to make up 15 lengths on the win, it was absolutely phenomenal. So I think he just wins the Derby. You know, it's a statement I'm going to make, and we've had this feeling about him, and I think he's just that much better than, you know, horses don't do that every day. So I'm really, really happy with him.
Yeah, look, nice run. He drew out a bit, and I had to do a bit of work early. I sort of probably just got him over racing a little bit, but look, he's run solid and very happy with the run, and I think I'll be sticking with him in the Derby.
You know, we opted today. Obviously, he jumped away a bit better to take bad luck out of the equation, and I know my horse can stay. We set outside a slow speed, and I knew once Opie came around me, he was the horse to follow, and I've tried to tack on to him for as long as I can. And full credit to my horse, he's still got a bit of improvement in it. Dad's going to have him peaking at the right time. I think we drew inside 6 in the Derby, and I think he's going to give him a good shake-up.
Absolutely outstanding, I thought. From the draw, I had to go back. Got back quite far, but the way the race was run, it wasn't really run to suit me. Outstanding effort. All going well to the Derby. I think it'd be very hard to beat.
Just speaking of sort of declaring tactics, I mean, McQueen was a lot further forward than
so
we would have
Gaultier.
And Gaultier and Margin Trader, they rode forward again. So, yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it?
Oh, it is a tricky one, and it's, you know, I think in some states in Australia they do, some they don't. I think that's changed in the last 10 years, yes and no. Do they still? And look, it is a tricky one, and there's probably never going to be a winner out of it.
Matt Cameron's pretty confident though, George. He's just told us.
Yeah, I like jockeys doing that. I really like jockeys declaring, especially for the big races too. He's been associated with this horse all the way through. Up until Saturday's Avondale Guineas, this horse was a $2.50 favourite for the Derby, and he had been for weeks. And he's been beaten, bang, back to second favourite, and they drifted him out to $3.20. So, yeah, Mongolian Khan's he's going to be right there. Don't worry about that, Mongolian Khan. MP Baker and Andrew Forsman will have him ready to rock and roll. Opie, if he draws an alley, he's going to be awfully hard to beat. Even if he doesn't draw an alley, he'll go forward anyway.
Somebody left a message for Opie after the races to suggest that he won't win.
Well, apparently the story goes that after the races on Saturday at Ellerslie, out on the Jockey's car park, plastered over Opie Bosson's car with these post-it notes. I'll go through them. Volkstock and Barrel. Matt Cameron wins Derby. Volkstock and Barrel will win the Derby. and this last one was interesting. Opie Bosson, shit rider.
I think the last one's quite right. I'll run with a few of the earlier ones. Though.
Yeah, the handwriting. Now we've got my people onto it, Darryl, and the handwriting would suggest that the first couple were written by Matt Cameron. The last one, possibly Danielle Johnson's the hot favourite that's got that one.
Okay, let's come back to your horse, Midnight Magic Man. You would have been stoked with the fourth.
Yeah, he went good. He went good, the little fella. In fact, he's not so much of a little fella now. He's improved since the 1st of January. He had 6 weeks between races too, and when they decided to walk from the 1,400 metres, he was the one that was over-racing the most. He was throwing his head around, which he can do. But for him to pull his head off and still finish up 4th beaten, half a head in the last 2 strides, is $6 a place, can you believe? Was pretty heartwarming. Yeah, he's a great little story, this horse. He's no champion, but he's our horse, and he's doing us proud.
It's exciting to call him in a race too, eh?
Oh, no, I'm professional, you know. I just look at everything else in the race and do it. Of course it is. He gave me a thrill too at the 300 metres when he loomed up. I thought, Vinny had to just go on the home turn, just before the home turn, go around Margin Trader. And that probably cost him half a length and probably cost him running third at $6 a place.
Ouch. All right, let's move on.
A couple of significant jockey changes or engagements too that were reported on the Informant yesterday. Interesting to see Mark Duplessis picks up the ride on Prima. That'll be a late nomination for the race, and I'm sure I read that Danielle Johnson engaged for Sound Proposition, who was a run in the race.
That was a run.
That was a run in the race.
He was entitled to run on, to be fair, because he sat back, did nothing, and then ran home. But his work over the final stages, he's right in it.
His first run over ground as well.
Yeah.
He won the mile at the start before, so he's up to that middle distance first time, and he did hit the line well.
Okay, all right, let's move on to the Group 2 Avondale Cup, and this was taken out by Farm Boy for Tim and Margaret Carter, ridden by Vinnie Colgan. The first 3 home here settled just in front of midfield and all produced pretty good runs.
Yeah, look, he did. He's really been a revelation of late Farm Boy. He's hit the line and just kept grinding away out wide. We see Rock Diva making up ground as she does. King Kamada hit the line strongly. So, Auckland Cup, Barfoot and Thompson Auckland Cup perspective, I'll be on Rock Diva, thanks.
What about
Rock Diva, I thought she's had her chances. So's King Kamada, to be fair. Take a line through the form of the 4th horse, El Soldado. He's a hurdler these days. He did run second in an Auckland Cup 2 years ago, but he nearly won that race, you know. And Rock Diva, and she was on 52 kgs. I might be wrong, but putting it out there.
Blinkers, she was a bit better.
Yeah, she was much better. 3,200 metres she'll love. I had a bet this morning with my boss, actually. I said I'll have Rock Diva, and he can have the field in the Auckland Cup for dinner. So,
for dinner?
Yep. Wow. I think she'll love the 2 miles. And I think she'll be a couple of spots closer, and I think she'll just win it. Unfortunately, it's not going to be a lot stronger, the race, than Saturday's. As Sir Pass goes in, I suppose he's got to be hard to beat, but I'll have her.
Okay, let's hear from the jockeys, including the winning one, Vinnie Colgan.
It was a tough one today. He drew a little bit wide, and I had to work on him a bit early. And he over-raced most of the way and to still finish it off strong. I was pretty impressed.
He went super today. He's probably ridden a little bit handier than what he normally gets ridden. He's hit the line strong, and he probably got held up a little bit over the vital stages, but he's definitely going into the Cup with a good chance.
It was a great run. Got too far back, but her last 3 starts, I think it is, including today, she's gone to a bit of a habit of falling out the gate. So if we can fix that, should be a huge chance over 2 miles.
Good run, Auckland Cup, 2 miles, a little bit of rain about, be a good run.
Yeah, it was a top run, you know, considering how far back I got, you know, probably could have been a little bit more positive at the start, but the thing was just to get in and get some cover, and I've had to go too far back, and with 57.5 it was a top run and mare to carry that weight, and, you know, all the place getters in that ahead of me all had 3-4 kilos less than me, so it was a top run, and I'm not sure where they're going to go, but, you know, I would push forward on that run. It was a top run.
And we'll get an update of the market for the Auckland Cup with Steve Hunt very, very shortly. Our next guest is leading apprentice Lee Magorrian. And Lee, before we start talking about your big day on Saturday, you had a ride in the Avondale Cup, Tokamudu Judge. What did you make of his run?
Yeah, he went a real nice tidy race. Probably prefer a bit of sting out of track. Okay,
and probably slightly easier sort of race?
Yeah, if he goes back into his own grade, into a 75, 85, you know, and if he goes into 85, he'll have a low weight, 55 kilos, 56, and he should be right there, thereabouts.
You must be. So was it your first sort of Saturday treble on the weekend?
Yeah, it was.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah, it was good. You know, hopping on some nice horses now, and some good trainers support me. So that's pretty good.
On good horses, couldn't get any better than Rising Romance on the weekend. How good was she?
Oh, she's just a bit too good.
Yeah, look, you gave them a start. I mean, when you came to the point of the home bend, what sort of confidence levels did you have that she would pick them up?
Oh, I think my heart was racing about 100 miles an hour, and just to feel the power that mare gave underneath me was just incredible.
Is she the best horse you've ridden? I mean, you've ridden Silent Achiever and Work, etc. Would she be the best mare that you've ridden race day?
Oh yeah, by far.
Yeah,
by far.
That's what you do it for, isn't it? To get on horses like her. I thought she was just awesome on Saturday. I thought you give her a lovely ride too. You rode her to how they wanted her ridden, and when you presented her, that turn of foot must have just felt awesome.
Yeah, it did. Especially she's pretty laid back mare, and you know, I jumped out of the gates and wasn't able to get any cover, so I bring it back and came back last, and I rode her a bit quiet around the corner, didn't cover any extra ground, and bring her out wide. And I just gave her a few clicks and taps down the shoulder, and she really accelerated for me.
There was only a nose in it at the finish. Did you think you'd got up?
No, not really.
Neither did I. But how did the ride come about on Rising Romance for you?
Gary Cossey texted me saying, do you have a ride in the Open 1500 at Ellerslie on the 14th of February? And I says, no, I don't know. He says, oh, Donna would like you to ride Rising Romance. So text back and says, me and you on about the same horse.
Is this the real Gary Cossey?
Yeah.
And are you talking about the real Rising Romance?
Yeah. Well, I couldn't believe it, and then, what's it called, the noms came out and see my name down for it. I was like, yeah, this is real.
Yeah.
Great thrill, eh?
Yeah, it was a great thrill, and just unbelievable to hop on a horse like that.
Because that's what that does for your profile and exposure, and I mean, just even to get an opportunity to come on TV and all of those things. It helps lift you and gives you that confidence, and it's so much a confidence game, riding, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. No, you have to have a bit of confidence in this game, and when you first start off, you're back your way, but you ride a couple of winners, and you get out there, and the confidence level rises. You definitely do ride a bit better.
Yeah.
It's especially for yourself too, from coming from your homeland, obviously in Ireland, and coming over here. What was the catalyst behind that in the first instance?
Came out here to wanting to be a jockey and accomplish some goals, and everything's rocking forward from now.
So how did New Zealand become an option?
Well, I used to work with a girl in Joanna Morgan's in Beliver in Ireland, and she came out here, and she texted me up on Facebook one day saying, no, they're looking for apprentices out here. And I was like, oh. I said no, and then I told my mother about it. She says, about 10 years, 15 years down the line, you could be kicking yourself saying you missed out on an opportunity. So I says, oh, I might as well give it a go, and I did.
Well, you wouldn't be regretting it, the way things are going.
No, I'm definitely not regretting it, no.
I mean, you're with Sean Clockworthy. He's got a lovely setup there at Byerley Park, and getting involved with the horses and a bit of the farming side of it. Good environment to work in.
Yeah, Sean, he's great, and he's helped me out a lot. And yeah, it's pretty good there at Sean Clockworthy's. We mess around with the sheep and the cattle and what have you.
Helps a bit of a brain rinse, not just horse, is it? You're doing livestock, you're doing other things, which gives you an opportunity to get away from it a little bit, I suppose.
Yeah, I love horses down to the ground, and but it's good, mix with different animals like sheep and cattle, and a few years down the line you might even get your own property. And it's just good experience for you in the long run.
For sure.
Who's your main New Zealand competition out there on the track? Who are the jockeys that you look up to from the New Zealand riders?
Oh, I look up to Opie Boss and Matt Cameron, and even the other riders overseas, like in Australia, you look at like the Nashville Witter and James MacDonald, of course, and Huey Bowman.
Let's talk about your other 2 wins on the weekend. Midnight Mistress, first of all, in race number 2. She wasn't that well favoured in the market. Her win at her previous start had been solid. When you were legged aboard her on the weekend, how confident were you?
I was actually pretty confident with her. Just the way she won at Avondale that time when she bet that horse Fully Fledged and it came out next start and killed him. She won. She ran pretty good sectionals at Avondale, and I was pretty confident in her. And I was surprised when I seen that she was a bit out of money. But she got the good barrier drawn too, and I jumped out and set 3 back 1 off and hit the line strongly.
She might be a good filly, that. She's given the impression her 2 wins have been very, very smart. You know, she's a Savabeel filly that's sprinting well over 1,200 metres. Look, it all turned to custard, we know, for the favourite in that race, Maybeel, but I think she's a filly with plenty of upside, George.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the way she found the line too, and it was pretty nervous times at the start. I think you were involved in that incident where Opie almost got dislodged from Maybeel.
Yeah, it was. What's it called? His horse jumped up and sidewards, and Opie came off, and Opie did a great job of staying on the horse.
Yeah.
And
you had a bit of a chuckle to yourself mid-race when you saw Opie going around, looking not like Opie Bosson in a race?
My camera was inside me, and I seen Opie just flying down from the outside.
Like John Wayne.
Yeah, you'd have to have a little giggling, you know, because it's Opie Bosson.
Yeah, doesn't normally happen to him, does it?
No, it never happened to
Happens
him.
to the best of them, you see.
And what about Dresden Park? Your impression of that horse and the win on the weekend?
Yeah, it was just the horse's first time winning over 1,200 on the course, and she had a flat spot me here about halfway down the straight. I had to get after a bit more, and once I did, about a few hundred metres left, she really hit the line well.
Yeah, trip short of her best. I thought it was a good win. She loves Ellerslie, and she's a progressive mare.
Yeah, definitely, and you know, she'd be the type of mare that would pick up a good race, you know, with a low weight on her back over a mile. Maybe a bit of sting out of track could be perfect for her.
You're up to 34 wins for the season, and I know you're a person who sets goals. Is there a tally that you want to reach by the end of the season?
Oh, I'd love to win more than anyone, really, to be honest with you.
More opportunities and anywhere, and you're writing down the CD and stuff now?
Yeah, writing down the CD, and you know, trainers, Roaring Birds and Sherrick has put me on a bit, and yeah, just getting on some nice horses now.
Excellent.
What do you do away from the track? I've met Johnny Mutter on a few occasions, and I know, you know, one of the best Irish jockeys of all time, and he was into his boxing. Do you do a little bit of that? I
did a bit of it when I was back home. You know, it was pretty handy when I was back home at a young age. You know, it was because boxing has to do with weights. I was always pretty slim, and my weight was down, so I probably had a bit of advantage, you know, being an older age and more experienced.
Yeah. So you enjoyed it, eh?
Yeah, I loved it.
All right. Lee Magorrian with 3 wins on Saturday, and Opie Bosson with 4. I know we're going to get to the Maybeel incident shortly, Butch, but 4 wins, and that includes, of course, the Avondale Guineas. He was flying.
Yeah, he was, and look, Imperial Hawk, she had this parcelled up a long way from home. Once she got her into the clear, she just killed them. Back to Lee's win on Rising Romance. Fantastic to see her back as she was on Saturday. Look, that was a strong race. Sports Illustrated, Saki Soldier, the Delago Secret, the first 4 home, and she was awesome. It's going to be great to see her race once again in New Zealand and then head to Australia, and she's going to be super competitive in all of those big races, George.
Yeah, I think she might have just caught them off guard a little bit on Saturday, just how forward she was. But I know Donna was over at a wedding at Rarotonga, and I think they were able to have vision of that race, and they were pretty excited in where they were.
Well, that race has worked out perfectly for the last couple of years. 1,500 metres, ideal for them to kick off. Silent Achiever used it last year, then went on to the New Zealand Stakes, and that's the path that Rising Romance is going to take this year as well.
Okay, Lee, thanks very much for coming in. Congratulations again on your Saturday treble, and who knows, one day you might just get back on Rising Romance again. That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
Oh, you know, stranger things have happened.
Indeed. All right, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Lee Magorrian here on Weigh In, a winning treble on Saturday. We mentioned Opie Bosson with 4 wins. Could have been 5, but things just weren't all plain sailing.
Gates open now, they're off and racing, and all the favourites in bother here, Mobile. Now he's lost his eyes, Opie Boston on Mobile, and he's looking like John Wayne as he works around on the outside.
You train, liberty clapping over hill and plain.
It's all turned to custard for the favourite as it comes around the home turn, Mobile. He's got no control over it.
Clippity clapping along.
A great impression of John Wayne mid-race at Opie.
Corona, I'll get you for a cowboy way out in Arizona. I'll dress a calico for a pretty name.
International Animal Health, the Australian company, make a range of quality products which help improve the health, growth and performance of your animals. Our goal, like yours, is the achievement of their full potential. So when you next need an animal health product, look to International Animal Health for a range of products to suit your animal's needs, including high-performance nutrition, probiotics, worming, first aid and grooming. Our business is growing your animals better.
I'd always dreamed of owning a share in a racehorse, so I followed my passion and I did it. I love the excitement, and I've made some great friends along the way. The team at Go Racing make it easy, and we've won some big races. I can even come down and watch them train. I get a real kick out of it. Call 0508 Go Racing if you're interested in buying a share in a racehorse. They're your best bet for success.
They all got the same heartbeat, but hers is falling behind.
The Bishop won pretty well for the Dennis brothers as well in those colours, didn't it?
Yeah, he did. He's a big, long, striding horse, and he might pick up one of those cup races down there later on.
The Bishop hits the leader from no rosettes down towards the line, and the Bishop scores. The Bishop takes the cup from her Willie, who rattled home.
I wish that I could be like the cool kids.
The Invercargill Gold Cup on the weekend going the way of the Bishop, and we got a good lead from Rory a week or so ago, didn't we, Butch? David Walsh in the saddle this time.
Yeah, we sure did. Gee, travelled like the winner a long way from home, the Bishop, and then momentarily it didn't look like he was going to get there, but he just proved too strong. 2,500 metres, right up his alley, and that won't be the last one.
The listed feature on the program was the Southern Guineas. Belle Mirage, what a nice filly she is.
Yeah, she is. Look, she's a class above them, really. She's placed in 1,000 guineas. Bad luck taken out of the play, and she had this wrapped up a wee way from home, didn't she? She's a really good filly, and yeah, I'm not sure quite where they'll go. They may head towards the Oaks with her, or they might keep her in the South Island, but wherever she goes, she'll be competitive.
Gay Robinson, the trainer, and Sam Wynne was the successful rider on this occasion, with Jamie Bates now domiciled in Melbourne. The other feature on the program was the Southland Stakes, and the very good 3-year-old includes now 3 from 3 this prep.
Yeah, look, she showed really good ability as a 3-year-old, as you said. She came up to the Oaks. It just all went wrong that day for some reason. They put her aside. She's come back, and she's shown, look, at a distance probably short of her best, proven to be just panels better than them here. And she's a good mare. And look, you wouldn't rule out they might target a race at Trentham. There's a fillies and mares race coming up on Oaks Day, a race like that maybe, but she's a really good mare.
Another of the weekend highlights, I thought, was the Myers dominance at Poverty Bay yesterday. I think he got 5 or 6, Kevin, and the girls, Kelly with 3 and Rosie with 2.
Yeah, 5 of the 8 going the way of KT Myers. He had a big team in, I think 10 or 11 runners. This one was impressive on debut, tiebreaker Cara Mack. She was just too good for them. And then over the river, winning a $30,000 Gisborne Poverty Bay Cup. So he was able to hang on with the big weight and get the job done. So, yep, Kevin Myers dominant.
Okay, so what have we learnt this week, Butch?
I'm going with international ownership and just how important it is to New Zealand racing. When you look through the top of the TV3 New Zealand Derby market, you see McQueen, that's owned in Hong Kong by a syndicate. Mongolian Khan, of course, great to have Mr. Lang and the Rider Horse Group here in New Zealand. So that's a Chinese Mongolian-owned outfit. Rosemont Stud races in the colours of Rosemont Stud, does Volkstock and Barrel. So Australian interest there. And then Vavasseur with Geur Boomsterbuur out of Holland having a share in Vavasseur. So there you go. There's that international involvement in the ownership of these horses, which is so important to us.
Absolutely imperative. George, what have you learnt this week?
I think if my mate Twiggy was here, he'd go on about the lack of pace in some of our staying races. It's becoming a joke, absolute joke. I think the Stopehendry stewards need to be proactive and start fining jockeys for going too slow, because it is dangerous. Somebody's going to get seriously hurt, a horse is going to get seriously hurt, and a jockey's going to get seriously hurt one day. We had a ridiculous situation. I know Twiggy would say this. We had a ridiculous situation in the Railway Handicap Premier 1200 metre sprint race at Ellerslie, where they slammed on the anchors mid-race, and Opie Boston went round on Donna's horse, Durham Town, went round and took the lead, and that was the, well, didn't win the race, but it ran third, and that was a reason why it did. But the pace in some of our staying races in particular is farcical.
It sure is. All right, you'll have an opinion on this, and we'll give you all the details as to how you can contact us towards the end of the program. Got the hook coming up, and as we